going, everybody? So we have a fun review today as we're talking Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. It's really exciting as a Ghostbusters fan. I don't know about you guys, but I actually had a great time with Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think amongst a lot of the legacy sequels we've seen over the last couple years, it was one of the better attempts at one. So I was pretty excited going into this to see if it would continue to build up that momentum. When the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, the Ghostbusters of new and old must join forces to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age. Within this franchise, we have seen them struggle a little bit as far as follow-up films. Ghostbusters 2, though I don't think it's awful by any means, it isn't anywhere as good as the original Ghostbusters film. Then there was the 2016 film that was so bad they erased it from existence and we didn't even get a follow-up film. Frozen Empire manages to do a pretty good job balancing carrying on the legacy that we all love while still moving the story forward with a new generation of characters. In a similar vein to a lot of sequels, it is a vastly different type of adventure, much larger in scale, largely in part to taking the story from this farm in Oklahoma back to New York City with the iconic firehouse, allowing for a much bigger adventure. Nostalgia aside, there is just so much enjoyment out of just seeing the Ghostbusters be the Ghostbusters again. It's just so incredibly fun watching them drive the Ecto-1 around town, taking out various different types of ghosts, some of which you're going to recognize along with some new ones. Even managing to break out some new tech that I thought was pretty damn cool, especially in the sewer dragon sequence in particular. Even tonally, Frozen Empire feels quite similar to Afterlife, which makes sense because Jason Reitman and Gil Kenan are back on this one. Though in this one, Jason Reitman isn't directing, he's letting Gil Kenan direct, but I still think he does a pretty good job evoking that same vibe that we got from Jason Reitman in Ghostbusters Afterlife, managing to evoke a lot of humor and charm. And a whole lot of that's coming from this newer cast carrying over from Afterlife. I just genuinely enjoy the Spengler family at large. Continue to love the journey that we go on with them. McKenna Grace continues to shine so much as Phoebe, just completely embodying Spengler for a newer generation. Then there's Paul Rudd, who basically gives the exact same performance as he did in Afterlife. He oozes charm and charisma, but that's not a complaint. It's just basically what Paul Rudd does. Even Finn Wolfhard, who I think was one of the weaker elements to Ghostbusters Afterlife, gets a much better role here in my opinion. One of the best parts of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, to no surprise, is the original Ghostbusters, who have a much bigger, more integral role in the story here compared to Ghostbusters Afterlife. All of them were fantastic. Annie Potts, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Bill Murray slip back into their roles seamlessly and get some great moments of their own while still bouncing off the newer cast members. Especially Bill Murray, who seemed like he genuinely wanted to be there and was trying as Peter Venkman in this. Some of the scenes that he's featured in are some of my favorites and some of the most funny. Even for as great as all of them are, and I had a smile on my face every time they were on screen interacting with the Spengler family, they don't really outshine the Spengler family at all. The story very much still is a Spengler family focused story, just with the legacy characters integrated into it. Managing to find that happy balance that gives them a reason to be here, having to work together to take on the villain once they're introduced and horrifying things start occurring in the city, and we truly see how powerful they're going to be. The film does take its time building up Garaka as this menacing, fantastical force over the course of the film, explaining the lore behind the character, and honestly, I gotta say, especially for this being Ghostbusters, they are pretty scary. There's a handful of different sequences with the character that are genuinely evoking a pretty creepy vibe. Plus, the overall design of the character is pretty cool, and this undead army of ghosts. It's freaky, reminds me a lot of a villain you would see in the Ghostbusters animated series, like the Extreme Ghostbusters, or even the real Ghostbusters. By the time we go into the big showdown in the third act with all the Ghostbusters versus Garaka, they do feel like an imposing force. I don't think they're my favorite villain of the franchise or anything. I think Gozer still is number one, but this one probably has to at least be in the top 3 as far as the films are concerned. But I will say, besides the original movie, I think this probably has the most exciting third act action-wise. For as much as I do appreciate nostalgia by and large, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire does continuously ride that line between the perfect amount of nostalgia and just going a little bit overboard with it as well. The story is back in New York. There are quite a lot of callbacks to the original 2 films. Obviously, Slimer is back this time around. I would say as far as the amount of screen time Slimer gets, he gets basically the appropriate amount of screen time. He doesn't overstay his welcome completely, but like I said, it gets a little bit close to it being a little bit much. It's tough because there are certain things in this you can definitely tell were thrown in here because they want to sell merchandise and toys. Slimer included, but also the mini Stay Puffs are back. And then they have this new character named Pukey. It has one of those ugly, adorable type designs to the character. I personally was kind of on the fence about it, but you can just tell certain things like this were just injected in because they needed to sell merchandise. I mean, Pukey even has a Funko Pop. If you come out of this movie a huge fan of Pukey for some reason.
He's so ugly! I love him!
Frozen Empire does run into a similar problem that a lot of these legacy films, and that is just the large stack cast at hand. So some of these people don't get as much screen time as I wish they had. It's a tough balancing act that they mostly succeed at, but it was unfortunate that some of the other characters, the other Ghostbusters that aren't the Spanglers, like Podcast, or even Lucky, I wish that they had a little bit more to do in this, but it is tough. All around, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is a pretty fun new installment in the franchise. It manages to keep building an exciting, fun direction to take this franchise in, while keeping just the right amount of nostalgia to please old and new fans alike. With where Frozen Empire leaves off, I definitely would be down for another installment with these characters, but make sure you share your thoughts down below. Once you get a chance to check out Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, how'd you feel about the film? Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? Do you like this more than Ghostbusters Afterlife? Or do you maybe like it less? Either way, make sure you share your thoughts down below, because part of the fun is having the conversation with you guys in the comment section. Thank you guys, as always, for videos. I always do appreciate it. Make sure you like on the video and also subscribe to the channel to update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. The next time, I'll see you guys later.